Hello and welcome to the Average Joe Sports Show. This is your host, Braden. We are joined here by my good friend, Cal Christensen. He's joining us from Provo. And since there's no real big sports stories going on today, we figured we'd just do something fun, have a fun little exercise. And we're actually going to build our starting five based off of who is playing currently today. And we're going to do it in the form of a draft. So, Cal, we got a little coin here. You want heads or tails?
I'm going to have to go with tails, Braden.
Tails. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens here. And it looks like it came up with heads.
Heads,
so
all right.
I get the first pick. Did you want to snake back and forth, or like I do one, then you get 2 and 3, and I get 4 or 5, or just want to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2?
We'll just do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1,
1, 2,
2.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Publicity.
All right, perfect. And thank you for coming on the show today, Cal. I really appreciate you being here, taking the time out of your day to do it.
Absolutely, it is an honor. Glad to be here.
Well, maybe when I get big, then it'll be an honor. Right now, it's just a hassle. All right. So, well, since I got the first pick, I'm going to make what might be kind of an obvious pick, but I'm going to go with my man on the Los Angeles Lakers at point guard. I'm going to say LeBron James.
I thought you were going to go with Caldwell Pope.
Am I trying to make a team that sucks? No. No,
I got Lakers bias.
Well, I mean, the Lakers bias, but I mean, LeBron James, he's the best player on the Lakers. And I'm picking LeBron James because not only can he put the ball in the bucket, not only can he rebound, but he can also assist. I mean, he played point guard last season, averaged over 10 assists, led the league in assists. So I'm picking LeBron because even though his defense is not great, I still think he's going to give me a leg up on whoever it is. So there's my point guard right there. And you don't have to do this in any specific order. You can just pick. I just picked it. I just want to put LeBron at point guard because he's a point guard. Let's be honest.
Let's be real here. That's what he plays.
He's a point guard. That's what he
played point guard against Cleveland against the Golden State Warriors in the finals.
He's masquerading as a small forward. He's a point guard.
Yeah.
All right, Cal is on the clock. Who you got?
All right. Yeah, well, it's hard to pick against LeBron James there, but I think for my number one overall pick, I have to go the back-to-back MVP on the Greek Feast, my boy Giannis.
Giannis, where are you sticking him at?
He's going to go small forward position, actually.
All right.
So we're using his length up and down the court. He's downhill. He's unstoppable. He just gets the ball on the wing. He's going to the bucket. And there's not much you can do to prevent that from happening. He's super long. I mean, he has great statistics. He has over 55% shooting from the field goal. And that's not from shooting mid-range jumpers. That's so.
I mean, honestly, like looking at Giannis, I'm looking at him reminded of a younger Shaq. I mean, obviously not as good as Shaq, but Shaq on the Orlando Magic, doing the same sort of things. I mean, I think Shaq was a little bit better with Magic, but I got to say, I think comparatively, their games are really similar.
Yeah, they do the same thing and just do it a different way. Shaq would just overpower people with his back to the basket. Giannis is just going to jump over, run through, and dunk on top of you. So he does what everybody else is doing, but at a more efficient clip. And that's my number one pick.
Yeah. See, so you actually stole. That would be my number 2 pick. If you hadn't taken him, that was gonna be my number 2 because I had him on here as number 2 for my list. So I think since you got him, I'm gonna have to go with Steph Curry because I want to go ahead and give LeBron James. I want to give him somebody to pass the ball to. I can shoot the ball. So I'm going to go with Steph Curry because, he'll be a little undersized at shooting guard. But I think you can, I think he'll be much better suited there defensively than having to guard the best lead guard that they got. So my number 2 is Steph Curry because dude can shoot. Like, I mean, what's he shooting this year? He's shooting
from 3, 43%.
Yeah, 43%, and he's averaging almost 30 points a game. So I don't think you can go wrong with that. It gives me some shooting to go with LeBron, who is shooting okay this year, but he's not a knockdown shooter. So
to be respected, but I mean, with Steph Curry in the building, I mean, he's got to be.
In the building, it's going in. It doesn't matter.
His range is from the parking lot at this point. I mean.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
So yeah, you actually served me back. He was going to be my number 2 pick. But I mean,
karma.
Yeah. I mean, those are the 2 best players, LeBron and Curry, the 2 best players of since 2010.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people forget about Kevin Durant, but I mean, he's been injured. He's been injured for a bit, so
That is true. He's been out of the picture for quite a while, and I mean, to be fair, Curry's only been. I mean, he's been in the league a lot longer than people realize. A lot of times, he's only been big the last couple of years. Once I really say Steve Kerr took over the head coaching job from Mark Jackson.
yeah,
And
that's.
I told you before, I've been a Golden State fan for a long time, since like Steven Jackson, Monte Ellis, Andrew Bogut, that crew. And I wear my Golden State t-shirts to school, and everyone's like, Golden State. What is that, like a basketball team? Are you kidding me?
See, I got respect for someone who was a fan of the Golden State Warriors before they got big.
I have to explain that every time I tell them I'm a Golden State fan.
I was a fan before they got famous.
First.
No worries.
Yeah, for Stephen Curry, there's nothing you can go wrong with that. I mean,
no, I mean that's a given. That's a golden pick right there.
Absolutely. So after that pick, you may, maybe you're looking up to shore up your defensive liabilities potentially, but that's
do
for your third pick overall.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'm going. That's where I'm gonna have to go because Steph Curry, man, he can light it up, but scoring but defense not a strong suit.
Yeah.
All right.
I think my pick next, and I think with my number 2 overall pick, I'll have to take the Durantula, the Slim Reaper himself, Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, where are you sticking him?
He's going to go ahead and play power forward.
Power forward. So, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, those two, Giannis and Durant, they can be interchangeable, those two positions, really. And to preface or to reflect back on a conversation prior to this meeting, it really is a positionless basketball at this point.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it's evolved to.
It doesn't matter. Like, you can stick any. Like, I have LeBron playing point guard. I mean, the dude's 6'9", 250. You haven't seen someone that big since Magic Johnson. So, it really is positionless.
Mm-hmm. Actually, to comment on that, that's a trend that the NBA is moving towards more frequently. We have Ben Simmons, who's 6'10", plays point guard. We have Luka Doncic, who's 6'7", and he's listed as a point guard as well. So, that's something we'll see more. Even LaMelo Ball, he's what, 6'7", 6'6"?
Yeah, big guy.
His brother too, Alonzo, 6'5", 6'6". So it's not uncommon anymore now.
Yeah, it's pretty commonplace to have that, which is good for the game, but it makes these so. But I actually got to say, I think Kevin Durant would have been my third pick. I was hoping I was going to be able to sneak him by you. But I knew I wasn't gonna be able to get Steph Curry by you because I knew you're Golden State. I'm like, I gotta pull the plug on Steph Curry. I'm not gonna get him later. I gotta get him now, or it's just I'm never gonna get him. It's true. Kevin Durant and Giannis, that's gonna give you some good perimeter scoring with Kevin Durant. Gonna give you some good defense. That's gonna be long as heck. Like,
yeah. You really can't go wrong with these first 6 to 8 picks.
No.
It's gonna argue one guy or the other. Durant, he's a lethal scorer from anywhere on the floor. He's got the range. He can get inside on people. He's deceptively strong with his slim body. But we've been able to see since his run with the Golden State, his defense has really improved since when he first couple years in the league, even since his MVP season. Yeah. That's really quick. He's averaging 1.5 blocks a game. That's as more than Andre Drummond is right now.
Yeah, well, Andre Drummond's the greatest rebounder ever, right?
It's true. He doesn't need to be because it makes up for his rebounds. Look at some of the top centers, some of the top defensive players, even Rudy Gobert. His defensive statistics are right up there with the best of the best. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was even in the conversation with Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Kevin Durant?
I think he was one of the fringe.
No, he was injured last year. He wasn't any conversation last year.
I'm not the previous year. Here we go. I just totally blanked him out for last year because it didn't exist.
I know. It's like last year didn't exist, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like we said before, we talk about Steph Curry and LeBron, but Kevin Durant gets left out of the conversation a lot because of absence. But
yeah, he's up there.
I got to speak to his defensive prowess. So him and Giannis, they're offensive threats anywhere.
Well, and he's actually shooting better than Steph Curry from 3-point range this year. Like, he's shooting 44% from 3 points, so he's actually shooting better than Curry. So hey,
that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. He's lethal from anywhere. So yep, Kevin Durant, number 2 overall. I'll play that power forward, but it doesn't mean we can't switch him with Giannis.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I gotta go since you took my guy, number 3. I'm gonna go since I feel like I need to get some more defense on my team. I'm going with Kawhi. At small forward.
Yes, also my top 5. Good choice.
I'm not a huge fan of Kawhi Leonard's game. I think he's a bit overrated. but he can play defense, and that's one thing that you can't take away from him is his defense. And so I can hide Steph Curry behind Kawhi Leonard, and that'll make it a little bit better because his defense is one of the best defenders in the league, and his stats aren't. And he's shooting 50% from the field goal as well, so he's getting to the bucket and scoring the ball. 26 points, 5.8 rebounds, 5.1 assists. So he's just a well-rounded, versatile player that you're going to want in the middle of your line to cover up some defensive shortcomings from Curry.
Absolutely. I think Kawhi is a great selection there. His great defense equals easy offense because he's getting these steals, he's getting these defensive stops. It's creating buckets in transition. It's putting the other team on their heels on defense, is making it a lot easier for, Curry and LeBron to get easy buckets. I think that's one reason he's averaging as many points as he is because just getting a quick steal and just dunking it in transition.
Steal, dunk, yeah. He's got that defensive capability to just get out in transition and score the ball quick. Kind of like Giannis. Obviously I don't think he's as good as Giannis, but Giannis the same sort of thing, where he'll just grab the ball, take 3 steps, and he's dunking from the other side of the court. So
it's hard to defend transition buckets like that when you have players. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's almost impossible.
So Kawhi Leonard. I think the one thing we do want to say on that is he's notorious for his load management. So, you're getting a selection. You're getting half a player there almost.
I know. Well, but he's got LeBron James.
41 games of the year.
Well, but I got LeBron James. I got LeBron James. He's going to tell Kawhi Leonard to, no, shut up. You're going to play this game. Stop this nonsense.
That is true. I think LeBron is one of those players that he's a hybrid. He's a new generation player, but he has the stock.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things about Kawhi is that he doesn't have anyone telling him that he can't do this. So he's able to get away with what he wants because no one's saying, no, don't do that. Because he's not a leader. Let's be honest, Kawhi Leonard, for all the things that he does, he cannot lead a team to anything. He's not a vocal presence in your locker room. He's not going to tell you anything. He's just going to play basketball. That's it. And you need those guys, but you need to have a strong locker room presence to lead those guys, which LeBron James got to do it.
Yep, exactly. I did see a meme that was pretty funny. Showed a picture of Kawhi Leonard and it said, "I hope you all realize that once this man retires, we'll never hear from him again." You might have him.
Well, it's kind of like Tim Duncan. Yeah, he's a coach for the Spurs, but once he retired, it's sort of and gone.
And wait, Tim Duncan, who was that again?
Yeah, exactly. One of the greatest power forwards ever, but he retired, and because he's so non on anything, he's just off into the sunset.
Yeah, yep, exactly. I guess a quick question actually. With having LeBron and Kawhi as teammates, LeBron having that that leadership quality, that voice in the locker room, and him even potentially telling him, hey, get your act together. You're paid to play basketball. We need you to do all 82 games, not just half speed. Do you think that actually, in reality, that might have played a factor in his decision going to the Clippers instead of the Lakers?
I think, yeah, absolutely. Because I think in Kawhi's mind, Kawhi thinks he's way up here. And when it comes to leadership and everything, in reality, he's about here. And being a third piece next to AD and LeBron James, that would have been he would have been the perfect fit. He would have won. But I also got to respect him for wanting to make his own thing, make his own team by going with Paul George to the Clippers. But it was a mistake. I don't think especially because he went to the Clippers, who have never been to an NBA Finals in their entire history, from what I know. So
no, that's true. Never. Never once.
Why the Clippers? If you could go anywhere, why the Clippers? That's just poor picking.
And it could just be trying to avoid another Kevin Durant situation where they felt.
Yeah.
He was just coming off a championship win with Toronto, so I doubt that kind of narrative would have followed his move to the Lakers.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been the same narrative.
No, it's his decision.
Yeah, but I think it was a mistake. But you know what? We won a ring without him, so enjoy the Clippers. Enjoy losing. Have a nice life.
Yeah, it's true. Didn't need him that way anyway. All right. Okay, so moving on to my third overall pick. We have got some of the top 5 players listed already. I'm actually going to go to maybe a possible surprising move, but I'm going to take the Serbian Nikola Jokic.
Oh, You suck. That, that was my next pick right there. I gotta get the Joker, but I mean,
Yes.
why'd you go for the Joker? Like, I know why I was going for him, but why are you going for him?
It may be for similar reasons. I just always got to root for the underdog second round pick, fat white boy. I mean, he's doing what nobody else could do with a body no one else has. He always surprises you with Tom Brady in a way. You just look at this man and you never think, oh, yeah, that's the greatest of all time in football. Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to be leading the NBA in statistical categories.
Yeah,
in the MVP conversation. He's, again, looking at him, he's deceptively good. And I mean, the statistics, though, I mean, you can't deny. I mean, he's in the top 10 in the three major statistical categories of points per game, rebounds, and assists per game. I mean, he's having 27.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists. I mean, he's an inch away from averaging a triple-double, which, I mean, was the reason, I'm going to be real here, was the reason Russell Westbrook won that MVP.
Oh, yeah.
He's done this, something that no one thought would happen again.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, and he's super close. He's actually leading the league in his PER rating, PER rating. He's 31.32, which, I mean, for those who don't like the traditional stats, who want to look at the more advanced statistics, the ones that have crucified players like Carmelo Anthony, he's number one. So,
yeah.
If you look at that, he should have been taken number one overall. I mean, he's been in the MVP conversation the last couple of years. The Nuggets have been a phenomenal team. And, I mean, just look at his last couple of games. His most recent game, he had 50 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists. 2 games prior to that against the Jazz, he had 47 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, those are eye-popping numbers. I mean, and they're coming from a guy who's drafted in the second round.
Yeah. I mean, that was a steal for the Nuggets. Like, that was absolutely genius. Like, that was highway robbery. See, I was going to get him because I'm like, I need a playmaking big man. You know, I mean, a two-man game with LeBron James and Jokic would be, I mean, that would just be, it'd be like what the Lakers are trying to do with Marc Gasol this year and failing horribly with, but I wanted him for his playmaking. Plus, he's shooting 40% from the three-point line for a center. So
that's another thing I was going to mention. Like,
you can't beat that.
He's doing things centers don't normally do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like that was why I was going to go for him, but you stole my pick there. So,
I mean, how many do you see ranked number 4 in assists in the league? Like, none. I mean, 30 years ago, that's unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, the only person that's done it, I mean, I think maybe one of the only centers that's done it is Wilt Chamberlain way back in the 60s and 70s when he led the league in assists because he wanted to.
Because he willed it to be.
So, I mean, I gotta give him credit for that.
Yeah, that's something we just haven't seen.
Yeah, you don't see
locking him in as number 3.
Man, those are now all the like my top 5 that I had on my board are all gone now. So now I'm like looking for like a big man. I'm thinking of what big man I can grab. And I think, oh man, I gotta go with my boy AD, Anthony Davis with the Lakers. He's having a bit of a down year this year as far as offensively, but I think he'll turn it around, and his defense is still on point. You know, I mean, he's lacking a little bit offensively, but his defense is still should be considered for defensive player of the year. I think he got robbed last year. Should have been him, but you know, they gave it to Giannis, so you know, no point crying over that. So yeah, I got to go with my. Go ahead.
I would just say I think a lot of people were kind of pushing for the MVP and defensive player of the year to both go to Giannis. I mean, who's the last person to do that? Was like Hakeem Olajuwon?
Probably way back in the day.
You do. So I definitely think that may have influenced some of the voters, but defensive player of the year definitely wouldn't have been a mistake going to Anthony Davis.
Oh yeah, no, it would have. It would have been justifiable. Justifiable.
Yeah, and to comment on his performance this year, I mean, you can say he didn't have a down year offensively, just looking at, pure cold statistics. But, do you need to be when you have LeBron James on your team?
The greatest player in the game right now on your team?
And arguably the greatest ever. That's a conversation that will always be happening for the next, probably 20 years.
That's a conversation for another day, but
still doing – Yeah. And they're still doing phenomenally as a team, and we haven't seen the Lakers struggling because of that. And his defensive, always be there. He's anchoring them as a defensive.
Yeah, I
player.
mean, he's a defensive stalwart, so
I think it'd be very hard to make a case to say that he's slipped at all this year. So
yeah.
Anthony Davis. I mean, 4 years ago, I mean, he was vying for MVP honors back in New Orleans. I mean, I don't think many people have still forgotten the upset over the Portland Trailblazers in his first playoff series ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been – how many playoffs has he been in? What, 3 now?
3 or 4, yeah. I mean, it's not very many because the Pelicans have
not
sucked.
very many series. Yeah, and he's gone all the way, won a championship. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can – LeBron and say he carried him, but I mean, to look at –
But you look at AD's stats. I mean,
AD played probably better than LeBron.
Balled out.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know. I honestly kind of believe the Finals MVP probably should have gone Anthony Davis. I mean, there's a lot of times where he was obviously the better player on the floor, but I mean, what's happened, and you can't. It's hard to argue against LeBron James.
Oh yeah,
but Anthony, he'll get his dues.
I think he will.
Sun is coming.
LeBron will get old. Eventually, one day LeBron's play will dip off a little bit, and then it'll be 80.
We may not see that day, Braden, but
yeah, I don't know when that day will be, but eventually LeBron's going to decline just a little bit, and AD's going to take it.
I mean, there's no end in sight, so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's insane. All right. So your number 4 pick. Who you got?
Number 4. Okay, well, I need to get some guards, which is super out of character for me because I've definitely gravitated more towards guard players. But yeah, I got to get a shooting guard and point guard on here. And I'm going to go with who I believe is the clutchest player in the NBA. I'm going to have to go with Damian Lillard.
Oh, okay. I got to admit, I did not see that coming.
And no one does, Braden. That's the thing. Like, I just feel like he's been super disrespected and underrated since his time being in a small market out there in Portland. I mean, they don't get a lot of national televised games. We saw some great things with him and LaMarcus Aldridge in his earlier years. I mean, very few people, I'm sure, who were paying attention at the time will forget when they played the Rockets in his last-minute heroics against them to send him to the next series. He does that time and time again.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing about Lillard that screams, I mean, a one-off or a fluke or a good year or two. I mean, he's led the Portland Trailblazers to a series every single year he's been there, save his rookie season. He's consistent.
That's not bad at all. So, I mean, I can get the pick. I mean, but I think you're right. Like, as far as him being like a small market team, like no one ever thinks of him and like, no one thinks like, oh, he's up there with Kyrie, with James Harden, with Luka, with all these guys. No one ever thinks that. But it's like, I mean, he does good. I mean, he's probably not going to get MVP votes, but I mean,
I think a lot of that reason is because he's in, like I said, small market again. I feel like if he would have been drafted or plays for the Knicks or something like that, a team that gets all the time, he'd be on the same level as Kyrie and Steph.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He is. In a lot of people's minds, it's just, I don't feel like, even in the casual fan, you think the best point guards in the NBA, everyone thinks Steph, Kyrie, and I mean, you could maybe say James Harden because he pretty much plays point guard. Russell Westbrook is still in mind. I mean, but no, I honestly feel if I had to pick between a lot of those players, Damian Lillard would be my number 1. I mean, I think I've told you before. I mean, if I'm down by 2 and I got 5 seconds left in the game, who do I give the ball to?
Kobe.
In peace, you know, like.
I get Damian Lillard.
You can't make me cry on this, man. But yeah, I mean, among active players, I mean, I'd have to pick Damian Lillard. It's hard to bet against that man. So,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, we've seen the team struggle, but I don't think that has anything to do with Lillard. I mean, you've seen so many injuries come and go. I mean, you have the Bosnian Beast. I mean, he freaking broke his leg and he's been out. And even last year when they were struggling, a lot of their ties could be pointed to their defensive woes, and that's what he was there for. Nurkic, he wasn't a presence. So I felt like a lot of the struggle was defense, and you can't really point that to Lillard's fault. He really pretty much carried them back to the playoffs on his own. So
yeah,
he's a franchise player. He's a cornerstone, so he'll be my point guard.
I like it. I like it. Give Damian Lillard some love. Giving Dame Dollar that love.
Yeah, dollar time.
So I am glad though that you got your centers out of the way
All
early
right.
because
Okay,
I was thinking about this and I was debating between Rudy Gobert and Joel Embiid because I like Gobert's defensive. I like the Stifle Tower for his defensive, but I think I got to go with Joel Embiid because I think he's going to be able to do multiple things for me. He's not just going to be a one-trick pony on defense like Rudy Gobert, and I think he'll be able to match up well against Nikola. I mean, he's getting MVP consideration this year. He's having a great year. So, and then I'll have LeBron James tell him to stop shooting threes and get his butt in the post. I'll tell him to shoot threes on occasion, but get your butt in there. Get your butt in that post and go to work.
Embiid, I've always liked him because he could shoot the three, but I think you bring up a good point. I mean, he's much more dominant. I mean, that's his place. And I always like to see a big man that can stretch the floor. But I think you definitely need him down there, especially, I mean, if you're going through this fantasy draft with Steph Curry, you're going to be giving the ball to him on the perimeter, not Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, and if he wants to knock down a three-pointer, like if he wants to come off a screen or something, get the three-pointer, hit a wide open three, hey, I'm all for it. But I want to see him down low, cooking your man Jokic down there. I want to see him doing his little dream baby shake. I want to see him doing his best Hakeem Olajuwon impersonation down there against.
Yeah, I mean, he can do it.
Man Jokic. So that's why I got to go with my man Joel Embiid up there in Philadelphia. Hopefully he stays healthy, but that's what I got to do.
Yeah, question for you. Does it concern you at all, the Sixers playoff woes, how they haven't been able to advance very far with
I think that's
Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons? Do you think it has anything to do with him, or
I think it has to do with it just being a bad fit. Honestly, like, I mean, you look at LeBron and AD, those two play off each other seamlessly. Like, that's what you need. You need to find two stars who can play off each other perfectly. And I think that Ben Simmons, get a jump shot or get off the 76ers.
A lot of people are saying get a jump shot, problem solved.
If Ben Simmons gets a jump shot, I think that'll erase a lot of their playoff issues. But because he refuses to shoot from outside, it's cramping their style, it's cramping their spacing, and they're not going to be as good because you got to have spacing to be good. And when those two are on the floor together, they're not spacing the floor. And then that means that I'd rather have Joel Embiid playing down low than Ben Simmons playing down low, because I think Ben Simmons, his defense, his playmaking, his speed, I want him to be able to out on the perimeter making plays, not sitting down low trying to get a hook shot. So I do think that their woes stem from a bad fit between the two of them, not from Joel Embiid and himself. So,
gotcha. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, if you look past the shooting woes of Ben Simmons, I mean, maybe that is a more interesting conversation about what could be done to fix that team.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think much points to Joel Embiid. So
yeah.
I think it's a solid selection.
All right. So your last, pick number 5, and then we'll have our 6th man, obviously. But pick number 5, who are you going with?
Okay, pick number 5. Man, it's up in the air. I have it between 3 players, but I mean, going strictly off performance this year, I have to go with Bradley Beal.
Oh.
There's a couple things I like about Beal. First off, I'm a big fan of Nelly. They have that linked together, so I don't know if that has any bias at all. Bradley Beal, he's number 1 in scoring in the NBA right now. So he's leading the league at 33.3 points per game. That's incredible numbers. I mean, you can always just point and say he's playing for the Wizards. So, I mean, someone's got to score points. But, I mean, someone needs to, and he's doing it. So he has the ability. Definitely can't say that's not there. He has the skills. I think it also speaks volume. I mean, whether this is his actual feelings or what he's been saying publicly, I mean, he's not pushing for any trades right now. He's willing to push through it. He's loyal to his team. I mean, maybe even to a fault.
I got to give him kudos for that, because you saw James Harden, who said, "Get me up out of here. I don't want to be here anymore."
He bounced. And I think, something must have been going on there, because you see, post-Harden Rockets right now, and they're having a blast.
Yeah. I think Harden's kind of a cancer. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's worth it. I think he's kind of like Kyrie Irving, we're like immensely talented, but a bit of a cancer in that locker room. I mean, when you think about all the stars that were with James Harden that said, "Nah, I don't want to do this." You had Dwight Howard, you had Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. All these stars are like, "Nah, I don't want to do this anymore." So I think there's definitely something wrong there.
Yeah. So I think Bradley Beal is a shining star in a dark room in that regard. So that's that's just what he's doing in the public eye. Who knows what's actually being said in those locker rooms behind closed doors? But of all indication, he's a pretty standout teammate, great in the locker room. He's not your Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, he just wants to say he just wants to get out there, play basketball, and do his job. So I gotta.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job at that. Just great statistics. He's shooting a high volume, scoring at a great clip, but it's not affecting his efficiency. He's 8th in the league in his PR rating. So nod to his advanced stats as well. So they be able to round out my starting 5.
See, now I'm looking at my number for my 6 man, and I think I'm kind of torn here because I'm thinking I want to go with Luka because I like Luka, but then I'm also thinking Paul George because Paul George's got that defense, he's got the offense, he's got that mix of everything. But at the same time, I don't know if he can help my team win. Maybe he needs a guy like LeBron to lead him the right way. So you know what? I'm gonna say LeBron's gonna steer the locker room. I'm gonna take Paul George as my 6th man coming off the bench because I think LeBron is going to be a strong enough voice in the locker room. He's going to be able to put both Kawhi and Paul George in their place and say, this is what you need to do. Stop wandering around aimlessly.
You know what? I'm all for that pick. I love the idea of, our 2 teams facing off, series going down to the wire, ball in my possession and in Dame's hand, and I hope you put PG on him.
Why, you want to repeat what happened the last time? No, I'm not gonna. I put Kawhi. I'd learn from the lesson. I'm putting Kawhi on him.
No, I think. He obviously there was some woes last year with the playoffs, but you can't. I don't feel you can judge Paul George based off one series performance. On Oklahoma City, he was a legit MVP candidate. It was Harden, Giannis, Paul George. He's having a career year. I think. I'm super grateful he's playing this well, especially after the injury he had on the Pacers where he broke his leg. Those are the kind of injuries that if they do come back from, they're not averaging 30 again. They're not the player they were before, and he's become that player plus more. So we've seen him get into the playoffs too. When we saw him, of course we saw what happened with Dame, but he played phenomenally with Oklahoma City in the playoffs. He was a leading man on the Pacers team that, gave LeBron a run for his money. Gave LeBron a run for his money. It was a great team.
Yeah, that was a good team back then.
People forget, I feel like, how potent Paul George is. We have the phrase is spacing my name right now, but we're very short-sighted when it comes to NBA fans. What people do now seems to take precedent over what's happened 3 years before.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately? That's the bias. Yeah. It's like everyone wants to know, what have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me now? Not what did you do for me?
What are you capable of? So it's fun to make fun of Paul George right now, and people do it all the time. I still see the memes, but I think that's major disrespect to an MVP caliber player.
Yeah. And so I got him.
That's a great pick. And what were we now? That was pick 9?
That was pick 9. No, that was pick 11.
That's pick 11? That was pick 11. 6 man. So that's pretty far for that's Paul George to drop. That may have been even a mistake on my side taking Beal over Paul George, but
I don't know. I think Beal will give you some good spacing. I think he'll give you a bit more spacing than Paul George would have. Because you got Giannis who's not going to space the ball for you at all.
No,
there's no spacing there. So I think it's good that you got him a guy that's going to space the floor a bit better than Paul George would have.
Yeah, definitely. So, Paul George I think is a great selection, and I don't like the disrespect on PG. Even though I give it sometimes, but
yeah. All right. So who you got? 12th pick.
Okay, my 6th man. So I'm looking at my roster here so far. I've got Giannis, Durant, Jokic, Lillard, and Beal. Now we have some decent shooters in Lillard and Beal, and Durant as well. But I think I do want. What do I want right now? I think really probably some rebounding is what I need at the moment. We got some decent rebounders, no one to shrug at. We got Giannis is super great at that, 11.1 a game. Jokic isn't any slouch on that side either. But I will go with Andre Drummond.
Andre Drummond, that's a solid pick.
Hey, actually, I lied. I'm gonna scratch that one. I'm gonna go with Clint, and I'll explain it why.
Clint
So
Capella over Andre Drummond. Okay, I got to hear this.
Prior to our conversation here, I was looking up some names, trying to get my picks, and I don't know, I seemed almost transition with Andre and Clint. And I give my reason why I pick Clint. Andre, the big argument for him is he's averaging 4 more points a game. He's having, what has he got? 18 and a half right now, points per game over Clint Capella's 13.7. I'm looking at my lineup right now, and I really don't need help in the scoring department. I mean, I've got multiple guys averaging over and or close to 30 a game. So I'm not having any hardship putting the ball in the basket right now. So Clint Capella, I'm looking for rebounding and defense mainly. Clint Capella leading the league in rebounding right now at 14.6 a game. I mean, that's the stuff I haven't seen really since that's the stuff Andre puts up frequently. But, so he's at 14.2, but the defense is what really gets me. Right now, Clint Capella averaging 2.35 blocks a game.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
That's incredible. Almost
that's
2.5
defensive
blocks.
player of the year worthy right there.
Yeah. He's anchoring the Atlanta Hawks defense right now. And it really shows. He's been playing really, really well recently. That's compared to Andre's 1.2. So it's an entire block a game more. I mean,
I think
defensive statistic like that, that's huge.
Yeah, and I feel like Andre has never really been known for his defensive prowess. I feel like he's always been known for his rebounding, and that's about it. You know, he's kind of like a rebounding specialist. So I think Capella gives you a bit more versatility than Andre Drummond does, especially with the defensive. I mean, especially when you're going to be having to, you're going to need a lot of big bodies because LeBron's going to keep freight training into the middle of the lane and drawing a lot of fouls. So you got to have a lot of bodies in there to take the beating.
Yeah, I didn't write down the stat. I want to look this up super fast. But yeah, I think another thing that's big for me is the shooting percentage. Right now, Andre Drummond is shooting at 48% from the field. That's pretty great. That's almost 50%.
Yeah, that's not bad.
B for a big man. Clint Capella, though, is shooting 55%.
Oof.
It's a 7% difference between two big men.
Yeah, well, and then you can have a Damian Lillard giving him the lobs. So he's gonna give you. He'll give you some athleticism at that center spot because Nikola Jokic, not a good athlete. Like he's not a great athlete.
He's a Larry Bird in a way.
Yeah. He's
gets
not
the job done, but he's not gonna do it athletically.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
And I mean, one more thing. I know I keep comparing Andre and Clint, but I gotta justify my selection, I guess. Again, the free throw line, Andre Drummond, he's literally a Shaq. Like he
can't shoot.
Shoot. And Clint Capella, I mean, he's not a guy you want to be putting at the line at the end of the game. I mean, as the opposing team, he's your target. You want to be fouling him, but he's still shooting over 50% right now. He's at 54% on the season at free throws. I mean, which isn't anything I'd put on my resume, but it's at least better than Drummond's been.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll lock in Clint Capella to round out my starting 5 and 6 man.
Well, all right. So look at the lineups. We got LeBron. So for me, we got LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, and Paul George versus Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, and Clint Capella. Honestly, I would love to see this game. Like, I would love to see this pickup game. Like, this would be like, I would love to watch this game and see what happens. Because I feel like you got some good mismatches on me with Damian Lillard. I've kind of got to make up for Steph Curry's on the defense, and I've got Kawhi. I think Anthony Davis will be able to slow down Durant. I think Embiid, he'll do a decent job with Jokic. But I think you're gonna be able to torch me with either Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal. I'm worried about those two right there. Like I got concerns. Like I'm worried that one of those guys, Steph's gonna have to guard one of those guys, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I definitely do feel there's mismatches there. I mean, even on the other side as well. I mean, you have LeBron James. I mean, that narrative is spoken over time and time again.
Oh, yeah.
You always have to factor in, like, how are you going to handle him? I mean, he's averaging 25 a game, but that's not what you should plan on LeBron getting when he wants the building.
Yeah,
like,
when he wants to. I mean, the other night he
will go for 40.
Yeah, he can go for 40, and it's not. And especially now that he's shooting. I mean, he's shooting the best he had his best 3-point shooting percentage since 2012-13. which I'm pretty sure that was back when he was back with Miami back in those years, back when I think they won the championship the year. So that's his second best 3-point percentage since then. So he's knocking him down this year, which is something that you could say it's one of the knocks about his game is 3-point shooting and free throws. Those are his two kind of those are the two kind of iffy spots. And now he's kind of eliminating that scare about the 3-point shot. So
I mean, free throws though, he's shooting over 70%. So I mean, it's kind of hard to poke fun at that. I mean, no, a couple years ago, even last year, I can't remember what it was, but he was shooting around in the mid 60s. Yeah. That's when like people were really starting to point fingers at that statistic. But it seems to be he's kind of saw that this year. So I mean, Tom Brady still has a greater percentage to win a playoff game. Brock doesn't make a free throw, but I mean, still.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just look at these lineups. Like I'm thinking that it's going to be that if these two teams played, it would be a lot of scoring. I mean, I know that we both got guys that are good at defense, but I feel like there's just so many mismatches from one to the other side that like it's going to be an offensive bonanza. I mean, it's going to be an explosive game. There's going to be some good defense in there played, obviously, but I think it's going to be a lot of scoring.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of worried on my small forward matchup with LeBron there. I don't really have anybody that will be able to body him up. I mean,
that's true because
we're gonna have Giannis guard him or Durant. I mean,
and then who's getting Davis, Embiid, or Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, Jokic has got to guard one of them. Like you're saying with Curry on my perimeter, I have Jokic down there in the paint playing defense. I mean, he's no slouch; he's pretty decent, but I mean, it's Davis and Embiid. So.
Embiid's gonna cook him.
Yeah, he's got that where he's quick. So
yeah, I feel like this would be an offensive explosion. Like this would be a fun game to watch. Like there'd be some good defensive plays, but I think honestly, if you played first one to, I don't know, if you played 5-minute quarters or something like that, like you're probably going to get a game shooting upwards to the 80s, 90s. It's gonna look like you're playing NBA 2K. You're gonna
exactly on easy mode, right?
It's gonna be NBA 2K on rookie, like that's what's gonna be.
Yeah,
because it's just gonna be offensive explosions everywhere. So I like it. I would pay good money. I would pay good money to see this game.
Oh, absolutely. And this isn't an all-star game. We're gonna be seeing some defense here. Defense. We'll be seeing
there'll be some defense. There'll be some good defensive plays. But it's not going to be a layup line to the middle, that's for sure. So
yeah, definitely with those centers anchoring that kind of defense for sure. So, question though, so we just pretty much rounded our top 12 best favorite players in the NBA right now. Obviously, there's going to be some glaring absences on that list. Who do you think we're missing? Who do you think is a big name that didn't make the top 12 that could make a pretty solid argument for?
Alex Caruso. Just kidding. I mean, I'm kidding. Obviously, I gotta drop in Caruso on this.
I was waiting for that. We've been in here for a few minutes now, and
I know. I was like, I'm hardly tempted to say Caruso as my sixth man, but I'm like, you know what? I can't. That's just going to be a liability. I mean, I love what he does with LeBron out there, but honestly, I think players we miss is James Harden, Kyrie Irving. But I think the reason why I was scared off of those two guys is because I don't want bad locker room presences. I want people that are going to go in, do their job, go to work. I don't want people that are going to cause a ruckus, that are going to cause a fuss. So that's why, because I thought about doing Harden as my sixth man, but I'm scared about him as a teammate. I don't think it'll be good. So that's why I left him off. I think those are two guys that we left off that probably are more talented than some of the guys that we have on the list. But as far as the team building exercise goes, I think they're a little bit lacking in that department.
Yes, absolutely. I wrote a list down here of people that didn't make my top 10 when I was making this list. And those are the two names that really headlined it. Number 1 and 2, James and Kyrie. And I think there's that exact same reason when you pull up ESPN top 10 highlights, they're on there.
Oh, yeah.
They're in the statistical categories and their teams are good. But when things go wrong, they're the first head cases to go there.
Oh yeah, they're not
sometimes.
So yeah, I think I left those two off for that reason, because I'm just worried about their effect on the locker room, and I don't want a cancerous locker room. I want a lot of high quality guys in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're picking guys who's for a single pickup game where they're doing one run and then they're done, I mean, they definitely would have been picked much, much higher. I mean, kind of an interesting selection, I feel like, for my sixth man. And he would be one of the first to go, I feel like, for one.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
building a team to run a season, to build a dynasty around, there's a reason neither of those players, okay, I guess it's lying. There's a reason James Harden hasn't seen the finals yet, I feel like.
Yeah.
And why Kyrie hasn't been back since LeBron.
Because LeBron kept him in check.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. We saw what that Celtics team was capable of without him.
Oh yeah, that was a scary team. And I think we actually left a guy off that list, Jason Tatum. I think we left him off too. I mean, he would have been another good pick because that dude, he can play.
Yeah, he can ball out. He was trained by the Mamba himself. I mean, that's a player.
Yeah. So I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was saying he got left off. I mean, that's the thing about like these lists is that like there's so many good players that like you're gonna drop some names and you're just like, oh, I didn't think about them.
Like, shoot, man, how do I wedge him in? You know?
I know, right? I'm like, do I take off Paul George to get Jason Tatum or?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's super mainstream to pick. I mean, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Durant, even Steph. I mean, there's been names that have been in the headlines forever and ever and ever, and it's fun to get fresh new blood. And I feel like Jason Tatum, those players that 10 years from now, he's going to be the LeBron and Durant of
absolutely. I think it'll be him, Luka, and Zion. If Zion ever stays healthy for a full season, I think it'll be those three. Those three will be the Durant, LeBron, and Curry of the future.
To toss in a new name that was on my list, I didn't make it in here just based off the earlier selections I was given. Luka Doncic is another player that'll be up there.
Oh yeah.
So
I think I stayed away from because I don't think he's a good defender and he doesn't have a 3-point shot, and so I just don't have a use for that. Like I have enough playmaking with LeBron and Steph that like I just don't need another guy that's going to be primarily a playmaker and can only score close to the rim. I want guys that I know are going to be able to stretch the floor out a little bit, give me some perimeter play.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, he's second in the assists right now with 9.3 a game. And you already have LeBron and Curry. I mean, they can get double digits assists out.
Oh yeah. So those two will be doing the primary ball handling on my team. And then I got Paul George if those guys ever get tired.
Yeah.
So
you definitely have some great playmaking there. But I mean, Doncic at 21 years old. I mean, dude, the kid's younger than I am.
That's the crazy thing. I'm looking at these NBA players and I'm like, they're so much younger than me.
Yeah.
And you grow up, you're thinking like, man, you grow up thinking, man, these NBA players are all so much older than I am. And then like you get to an age when you're realizing that you're like,
oh, Jason Tatum, like, dude,
I got a decade on some of these guys. Like
he wasn't even in high school when I was graduating. So
I know it's like I got a decade on some of these rookies coming in this year. So I'm like, it's kind of like, when did that happen?
Yeah, so I mean, like 10 years from now, when Doncic is the age of Stephen Curry, I mean, I'm excited to see what his rap sheet will look like.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get an outside. If he get an outside shot, I think he could be the second coming of Larry Bird.
And we all know that's what a lot of us want. I mean,
Larry Bird 2.0. I mean, I don't know how his trash talk game is because I know Larry Bird is on point, but if he gets an outside shot, I could see Larry Bird 2.0 being with Luka, and that would be. I think if he gets an outside shot, people might look at him the same way they look at Kobe compared to Michael Jordan. You look at Luka compared to Larry Bird. I think people might look at those two the same way. How it's like Kobe was the mini Jordan. I mean, I love Kobe. No disrespect to Kobe, but Jordan was a little bit better. And Kobe was the closest thing we're ever going to see. And so I think it might be the same thing where you're looking at Luka and you're see, well, he was the sort of the mini Larry Bird.
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree with that analysis. So, yeah, I don't know. Just list up a couple of the names that didn't make my list. I mean, Chris Paul, he's an oldie but a goodie. I mean, we saw what he was able to do with Oklahoma City. A lot of us, I feel like, including myself, had him kind of written off as, past his prime, washed up. But I don't know what he was able to do with KC really changed my viewpoint on him. And I'm excited what he can do with Phoenix with pairing with Devin Booker, also another young guy. I'm excited to see what will happen.
So. Yeah, Devin Booker's I think it'll be good for him to have a guy like Chris Paul on his team. I mean, the Phoenix Suns, I mean, if you look at the Phoenix Suns, they're sitting at I think they're sitting at 4th overall in the Western Conference. Yeah, they're behind. Yeah, they're the fourth overall. I mean, they were a bottom pick. You know, they were a bottom team last year. You know, they barely squeaked into the bubble, and now they're fourth place in the West.
Definitely.
And you know why that is? Chris Paul wins. And if Chris Paul
it's true.
And you know what? And Chris Paul would have won if the league hadn't nixed the trade that would have brought him to LA. Not that David lived in the base with the Clippers. They got into the Lakers back when Kobe wanted him. Kobe would have gotten 3 or 4 more rings, I think, at that point, because Chris Paul is a winner and he plays the right way and he wins. And it would have been a beautiful thing to see. Unfortunately, that fell through. And so we ended up with Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. And we all saw how that ended. So,
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know that Braden was a Lakers fan, you do now.
Yeah, you know, I almost put on my Laker jersey today, but I'm like, yeah, that might be a little bit too much.
I was kind of expecting. I was kind of surprised. but yeah, I mean, to Chris Paul's credit, if he would have gotten injured in that playoff series against Golden State, we probably would have saw the Rockets in that series against Cleveland. So.
And that would have been James Harden actually getting to the finals again for the second time after he made it.
Really would have been on the merits of Chris Paul. I feel
yeah. Chris Paul's a winner. And unfortunately, he got stuck with the Clippers for a while, which means the Clippers don't win. If he had gotten to a good franchise that wins, the Clippers are
kind of cursed there.
The Clippers are just cursed.
It was a heck of a fun team to watch, though.
It was. And that's the thing.
So much fun.
Chris Paul's a winner, but he could not get the Clippers past the hump because, again, the Clippers. They're cursed or something.
They're the JV team.
There's some gnarly hex on them. I think it's not going to break until they finally leave the Staples Center. You know, go somewhere else, be their own team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so play in the shadows of other Lakers greats with their jerseys hanging in the rafters.
Well, they cover the Laker jerseys hanging in the rafters. They don't have these.
But they're still there, you know. I mean,
they got no banners to hang, so they got to cover them up with.
Yeah, they're playing. If I can't see them, they can't see me. Mentality, but they're there. They gotta get something else. I mean, LA's big enough for another stadium. I mean.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Honestly, I would love to see the Clippers go back to Seattle, but I think that's too small market for their owner. But still, I would love to see the Clippers go back to Seattle or go to Seattle.
There's a loyal fan base.
There's a loyal fan base. Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Supersonics. They would love to have a team back there.
I don't think you'll have too many Clippers fans upset with a relocation.
Oh no, absolutely not. Because you know what? You go to Clippers home game. It's a Lakers home game with some Clippers fans thrown in.
So Lakers fans who couldn't make it on Laker night. So
yeah, exactly. No. So here's the thing: the Lakers fans go on Clippers because it's cheaper to see the Clippers play than to see the Lakers play.
That's true. They get their basketball fix, but they can't afford those LeBron tickets. Most definitely.
All righty. Well, I think we've had a very lively and fun discussion today. I want to thank you for being on the show today, Cal. I appreciate your insight. And any last words before we close things out?
I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to be on here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll have to have you back sometime, and we'll go more in depth. I like having you on the show because I think we think similar at a lot of things, but we also think a little bit differently. So I like to have you there to get a different viewpoint than just me talking to myself. So
yeah, variance is good, and it helps that I kind of despise the Lakers. So there's always that beef to run on.
Keep my head, it helps to keep my head slowing up too much.
Keep you grounded. So.
Yeah, keep me grounded. All right. Anyways, so thank you for coming on, Cal. And this has been the Average Joe Sports Show, signing off.